The colony of New Avalon had been alive with voices only yesterday. It was a shining jewel of humanity's expansion into the stars. Families filled the domed cities, markets traded goods from across settled space, and children laughed as they played under artificial skies. Ships came and went, carrying food, water, and dreams. Now all of that was gone. The first warning came as silence. Not an explosion, not a scream, just silence. The long-range communications hub on Mars flagged the event first. New Avalon had simply stopped transmitting. 1 minute, routine messages about shipments and patrol routes flowed in. The next, the channel cut mid-sentence. At first, officials thought it was a technical fault. It happened sometimes: solar storms, broken relays, power surges. But when the silence stretched into hours, and when no backup signal lit up the emergency channels, worry turned into dread. By the time the 5th hour passed, the United Human Federation dispatched a patrol fleet. 3 destroyers and a reconnaissance cruiser jumped through slipspace toward New Avalon. Their orders were simple: restore contact, assess the situation, and report back. They never expected what they would find. The fleet emerged from slipspace near the outer defense grid of New Avalon. The automated satellites should have greeted them with recognition codes and traffic data. Instead, they drifted lifeless like corpses in the void. The first destroyer sent a probe toward the planet. As the video feed streamed back, silence fell. Across the bridge, New Avalon was burning where shining cities had stood. Only black scars stretched across the surface. Domes shattered, towers broken. The atmosphere itself shimmered with radiation haze. No transmissions, no distress beacons, no human voices. Captain Reyes, commander of the reconnaissance cruiser Orion, ordered a cautious approach. As they neared orbit, the devastation grew clearer. Entire districts had been scoured clean, as if an invisible blade had carved across the land. The oceans boiled in places, clouds rising into space. Floating in orbit were the remains of civilian ships, torn apart, their hulls melted as if by intense heat. Millions had lived here. Now there was only silence. The patrol fleet began a grim search. Drones were launched, combing the wreckage for survivors. Hours passed, but the only discoveries were corpses sealed in emergency pods, burnt beyond recognition. Then came a breakthrough. A black box recorder from a shattered orbital station was recovered. The crew gathered in silence as the data was decrypted. The recording began with routine chatter: docking schedules, trade updates, music playing faintly in the background. Without warning, alarms blared. Screams filled the audio. A voice shouted, "They're here." There the signal cut, replaced by static. But in the final seconds, just before the end, a faint sound slipped through. Something low. Something deep. A shadow, massive and unnatural, descended past the viewing window. The camera caught only a glimpse, a silhouette too large, too angular to be human. Then everything went black. On the bridge of the Orion, no one spoke for nearly a minute. Finally, Captain Reyes whispered, "This was no accident. This was an attack."
8.
The patrol fleet knew their orders. Report back. They had no strength to fight whatever did this. Their mission was now survival, carry the evidence home before the same fate befell them. But unease spread among the crews. Men and women whispered in the mess halls. What could destroy an entire colony so completely, so quickly? What enemy could silence millions without even sending a message? Some said it was a new alien race. Others muttered about rogue AI, or even a secret weapon unleashed by a rival human faction. But the truth weighed heavier than rumors. The black box shadow was not human. Its design, even blurred, was alien. And its presence spoke only one word: war. When the fleet returned, the evidence was played before the leaders of the United Human Federation. Hardened generals and seasoned politicians sat in silence as the final scream echoed across the chamber. Generations, humanity had expanded peacefully into the stars. There had been conflicts, small wars, pirate raids, even rebellions. But never had they faced an enemy that sought to erase them. Now, one of their greatest colonies was gone. Millions of lives had been erased in a single night. The council debated. Some urged caution, saying they needed more proof before declaring an enemy. Others demanded immediate retaliation, even without knowing who the attackers were, but all agreed on one truth. Humanity could not ignore this. If they did nothing, New Avalon would not be the last colony to fall. As the council argued, whispers spread across human space. Families in distant colonies asked, "Will we be next?" Traders hesitated to launch their ships, fearing unseen. Hunters in the void. On Earth, media networks broadcast the grainy shadow from the black box on endless repeat. Viewers stared in horror at the alien silhouette. Knowing only this, something powerful had noticed humanity, and it had struck without. Mercy, the president of the Federation, appeared on every screen across human space. Her face was pale, her voice steady, but the weight of loss was in her eyes. "Today," said, "the colony of New Avalon has been destroyed. Millions of lives have been erased. This was not an accident. This was an attack." She paused. Letting the silence hang, letting the fear settle in every heart, we do not yet know who our enemy is. But no, this humanity will not be broken. We will find who did this. Now, when we do, we will answer. Her words lit fire across the stars. Some felt hope, others felt fear. But all felt the same truth. Humanity stood at the edge of its first great war among the stars. As the video feeds ended, one question echoed everywhere. What kind of enemy could erase a colony in minutes? No answer came, only silence. And in that silence, humanity prepared for fire. The evidence of New Avalon's destruction spread across human space like wildfire. Every channel replayed the same fragment from the recovered black box, the desperate screams, the alarms, and then the dark shadow descending before the feed cut. Billions watched that final moment on their screens, holding their breath as if expecting the shadow to move again. Billions asked the same question. Who or what had done this? No answer came, not yet. But soon humanity would see its enemy. Captain Reyes and his patrol fleet were not done. Though shaken, they were soldiers. They had returned to Earth with proof of an attack, but they wanted more. They wanted to know who had struck first blood. When the Federation Council gathered, Reyes stood before them. His face was pale, his voice tight with anger. New Avalon was erased in minutes, he said. This was no accident. It was a strike deliberate, calculated. We have one image, a shadow. But I believe the enemy is still out there, watching. Some counselors dismissed him. Speculation, they muttered. But the president listened. And within the week, she gave her order. Find them. Find our enemy. And bring us truth. The patrol fleet was reinforced with heavy cruisers and advanced recon drones. Their mission, return to the ruins of New Avalon and search deeper. The second expedition jumped into New Avalon space with caution. The system was quiet. Too quiet. The planet still burned. Smoke clouds reached into the atmosphere. The wreckage of ships still floated in orbit, glinting cold in the starlight. It was a graveyard now, but the graveyard had watchers' drones spread out, scanning for signals. For hours, nothing. Just radiation, debris, and silence. Then one drone detected an anomaly. Faint energy trail, unnatural, cutting across the system. Reyes ordered pursuit. The fleet followed the trail into the shadow of New Avalon's twin moons, and there, found it. It was massive. It's larger than any human. Battleship. Its hull was black and jagged, shaped with angles that hurt the eye to follow. No running lights, no insignia. Just a dark predator lurking in the void. The alien ship did not move as the human fleet approached. It just floated, silent, like a shark waiting in deep water. Every human crew member felt the same chill. This was the shadow from the black. Box the Orion scanned the vessel. The results were terrifying. The ship's armor was thicker than any human design, layered with strange alloys. Energy readings pulsed from within, far beyond human reactors. Weapons were detected, massive cannons and energy arrays humanity had no names for. One officer whispered, "That thing could destroy us all before we even get close." But still, the ship did nothing. It only waited. Reyes knew they had found the killer of New Avalon. But before he could order weapons armed, the alien vessel stirred. Lights, faint and sickly green, crawled across its hull. Energy surged. And then, without warning, it vanished. Not jumped, not warped, not fled into slipspace. It simply blinked out of existence, leaving only static echoes in its wake. The human fleet stared at empty space. Scanners spun wildly, trying to trace where it had gone. Nothing. 1 second, their enemy was there. The next, it was gone. And then came the first transmission. It wasn't in any human language. It was a burst of sound, deep, resonant, grinding like stone. Minutes, linguists scrambled to decode it. Slowly, patterns emerged. The words, once translated, chilled the blood of everyone who read them. "You are prey." Right. "Your world was an example. Obey, or all will burn." Humanity had just received its first message from the unknown enemy. Not peace. Not negotiation. Not even curiosity. Only dominance. Only threat. News of the transmission spread instantly. Civilians flooded spaceports, desperate to flee colonies near the frontier. Governments declared martial law. Panic gripped humanity's billion-strong population. On Earth, riots broke out in cities as people demanded protection. On Mars, militia groups formed, vowing vengeance. Across the colonies, fear and anger battled in equal measure. The Federation Council convened an emergency session. For hours, they argued. Some begged for caution. Others demanded immediate retaliation. Last, the president stood and silenced them. "We are not prey," she said. "We are human. We will fight." Weeks later, the chance came. Long-range patrols near the Perseus Arm detected a formation of alien ships moving toward another colonies, smaller, weaker than New Avalon. The enemy was repeating their method, striking worlds unprepared. But this time, humanity was ready. A small strike group, 10 destroyers, 2 heavy cruisers, and a carrier was dispatched. Their orders: intercept, engage, and test the strength of the enemy. The fleets met in the dark void between stars. The alien ships were grotesque, their hulls covered in spikes and ridges, glowing faintly with sick energy. They moved with unnatural grace, faster than expected. Their weapons fired beams of light that sliced through shields, but humanity fought with fury. The destroyers swarmed, using tactics honed in smaller wars. The carrier launched squadrons of strike craft, darting like hornets. The cruisers took the brunt, firing railguns and missiles in relentless waves. The battle was brutal, short, and bloody. 3 human ships were destroyed, hundreds dead. But when the smoke cleared, 2 alien vessels drifted as wreckage. For the first time in history, humanity had killed the hunters. The victory was small, but it sent a message. Humanity would not kneel across the Federation. Spirits lifted. People cheered. The first time since New Avalon's destruction, hope stirred. But Captain Reyes did not smile. He looked at the battle data. He saw how fast the aliens adapted, how much stronger their weapons were, how much deadlier they would be in greater numbers. And deep inside he knew the enemy had not truly fought them yet. This was only a probe, test. The real war had not even begun. Humanity had seen its enemy. They had survived first contact. They'd even drawn blood. But as the alien empire watched from the shadows, one chilling truth echoed in the minds of every leader and every soldier. If they could erase one colony in minutes, what would they do when they came with their full strength? The answer waited in the stars. Across human space, the news spread like fire. The aliens had been found. The aliens had been fought. And for the first time, the aliens had been killed. Millions cheered. Billions prayed. Humanity had proven it was not prey. But beneath the celebration was fear. Because every soldier, every commander, every leader who had looked at the battle data understood the same truth. The aliens had been testing them, and the real war was still coming, in the vast halls of the Earth Federation capital. The greatest gathering in human history began. Presidents, governors, admirals, and generals from every world sat in the War Council. The chamber buzzed with anger, fear, and determination. On the central screen, images of New Avalon's ruins and the alien wreckage were shown. Silence fell. President Alara Voss stood before them. Her voice was sharp, commanding. New Avalon is gone. We have seen the enemy. They call us prey. They demand our surrender. They seek to erase us. Her gaze swept across the chamber, and I say no. Humanity has never bowed. Not to kings, not to empires, not to death itself. And we will not bow. Now, the chamber erupted in thunderous applause, but the president's next words silenced them. Again, our scouts confirm, the enemy fleet is vast. Their technology is beyond ours. If they strike with their full power, no colony, no station, no world will survive. She paused, then raised her hand. So we do the only thing we can. We fight with everything, every ship, every soldier, every world. Humanity's survival depends on it. Today, I call the Armada. Today we prepare for war. The call went out. Across the stars, humanity answered. On Luna, shipyards roared to life, forging steel titans day and night. On Mars, factories shifted. From civilian work to war production, building fighters, weapons, and armor. On Titan, miners dug deep, ripping ore from the moon's crust to fuel the effort. On Earth, millions volunteered. Students, workers, veterans, everyone wanted to fight. The numbers grew. 10,000 ships, 50,000 ships, 100,000 ships. By year's end, 700,000 warships would stand under the Federation banner. The largest fleet humanity had ever known, but numbers alone would not be enough. Admiral Kieran Holt, as a veteran of dozens of frontier wars, was placed in command of the new Armada. He knew that numbers meant nothing without discipline. So he drilled the new fleet harder than anyone thought possible. Every ship ran endless combat simulations. Every pilot trained until their reflexes were faster than thought. Every Marine practiced boarding maneuvers, clearing alien hulls and surviving the vacuum of space. And through it all, one phrase echoed across the fleet. We are not prey. Captain Reyes, the man who had first found the enemy, became a symbol. Soldiers saluted him in corridors. Civilians sent him messages of hope and vengeance. His name was spoken with pride. But Reyes felt no pride, only weight in his quarters. He replayed the black box of New Avalon again and again. Screams. The shadow. The silence. He swore an oath to the dead. I will not stop. I will not rest, till every one of them pays. But deep inside, a seed of doubt gnawed at him. Could humanity truly win against such a foe? Just as the Armada neared completion, a new transmission arrived. It was intercepted near the edge of human space. It came from the aliens. And it was different. This time the message was clear. We see your fleet. We know your numbers. Your insects building weapons of sticks and stone. When we come, your stars will burn. Your fleets will break. Your worlds will die, screaming. The War Council played the message for the public. Many trembled. Many more grew furious. For every word of threat, humanity's anger hardened into iron. Then it happened. At the colony of Carthos, an early strike came. Not the full alien fleet only a raiding force, but they struck fast, and they struck hard. Carthos burned for 2 days. Thousands died. But this time, the colony was not erased. Human defense fleets arrived in time to drive the aliens back. The Armada was not yet ready, but the smaller battle proved something critical. Humanity could fight. Humanity could bleed the invaders. And if humanity could bleed them, then maybe humanity could defeat them. As the Armada reached half-strength, President Voss addressed the entire species. Every screen, every device, every world carried her words. People our enemy calls us prey. They tell us we are weak, that we will kneel, that we will burn. I tell you this, humanity does not kneel. Humanity does not break. Humanity does not die in silence. We have built the greatest fleet in history. We have forged weapons that will shake the stars, and when the enemy comes, they will not find prey. They will find predators. Her words lit a fire across every colony, every soldier, every worker. Humanity's spirit hardened into steel. The armada was almost ready. The fleet stood at hundreds of thousands strong. Weapons gleamed. Crews waited, but as scouts returned from the edge of known space, a message came with them. Warning. They had seen something in the dark. Not one alien fleet, not 10, but hundreds. The enemy was coming, and they were coming soon. The scout reports had shaken every world. The enemy was not sending raiders this time. They were sending fleets hundreds. A fleet's moving across the void like a tide of shadows, and their target was clear. Not a colony, not a trade route, a lone world. They were coming for the heart, were coming for Earth. Every screen in the Federation flashed the same warning. Enemy fleets detected. Arrival in 36 hours. 36 hours. That was all the time humanity had left. Across the armada, alarms blared. Crews sprinted to their stations. Engines roared to life. Weapons hummed with power. On Earth, billions stared at the sky, wondering if they would still be alive tomorrow. Admiral Holt, standing on the bridge of the flagship Resolute, looked at the star charts. Enemy fleets approaching from multiple vectors. At least 2,000 ships in the first wave. More behind. He gave the order with grim calm. Signal all fleets. Prepare for full engagement. In the blackness of space, humanity's armada assembled. Hundreds of thousands of ships spread across formation grids. Battleships forming iron walls. Carriers launching squadrons of fighters like swarms of steel hornets. Cruisers and destroyers weaving through the lines, guns primed. And then they saw them. The aliens arrived not with fanfare, but with horror. Thousands of dark shapes dropped from slip space, their jagged hulls glinting like broken knives. Their formation stretched across the void, blotting out the stars. On the human, silence fell. Every soldier stared at the sight. Every soldier felt the same chill. This was no raid. This was war. Without warning, the alien fleet fired. Beams of sickly green light lanced across the void. Entire human destroyers were cut apart in seconds. Shields flared and collapsed. Hulls cracked and split. The armada shook under the first blow. Dozens of ships vanished in fire. Hundreds screamed over open combs before going silent forever. But humanity did not retreat. Admiral Holt raised his fist. All batteries returned fire. The void lit up like a sun. Railguns thundered. Missile swarms streaked through the dark. Plasma cannons roared. Fighters dove, unleashing torrents of fire. The two greatest fleets in history clashed, and the galaxy trembled. The battle was chaos. Explosions ripped through the dark, each brighter than a dying star. Human destroyers darted into the alien lines, sacrificing themselves to break formations. Carriers launched wave after wave of fighters, there. Pilots screaming war cries into the combs. But the aliens were relentless. Their ships were faster, their weapons stronger, their tactics cold and ruthless. Every time humanity broke one line, another wave filled the gap. On the Resolute, Admiral Holt clenched his jaw. They adapt faster than we thought, but so do. We shift formation, Delta. Bleed them, humanity answered with fury. Cruisers encircled alien dreadnoughts, hammering them with coordinated strikes. Battleships unleashed heavy cannons, tearing chunks of alien hulls apart. Fighters darted into weak spots, planting charges before vanishing. For every human ship destroyed, an alien ship burned with it. Captain Reyes, commanding the heavy cruiser Orion, fought at the front lines. His ship shuddered with each impact. Fires spread across the decks, but Reyes did not flinch. His crew fought like demons, rerouting power, firing railguns until the barrels melted. At one point, an alien dreadnought loomed over the Orion, weapons primed to vaporize it. Reyes stared at the monster and barked, "Full power to forward cannons. Fire everything." The Orion's guns roared. Missiles streaked. The alien dreadnought cracked and exploded in a fireball that lit the void. The crew cheered, but Reyes only whispered, "This is only the beginning." For hours the battle raged. Thousands of ships destroyed. Tens of thousands dead. And slowly, just barely, the Armada began to push forward. Alien formations cracked. Human fighters broke through. Railgun salvos pounded enemy capital ships into ruin. Against all odds. Humanity was holding. On every channel, one phrase echoed again and again. "We are not prey." But just as hope flickered, the enemy revealed their true weapon. From the rear of their formation, vast ships emerged. Larger than cities, their hulls shimmered with unnatural energy. These were not warships. These were planet dash killers. One fired. A beam of green fire slashed across the void, slicing through a dozen human ships as if they were paper. Another fired, and an entire carrier group vanished in an instant. Panic surged across human coms. Admiral Holt's face hardened. "Target those ships. All forces, concentrate fire." They do not reach Earth. The battle was no longer about victory. It was survival. The Armada had fought bravely. Humanity had proven its strength. But against the planet killers, the outcome was uncertain. As the Resolute shook under another blast, Admiral Holt gave the order that would decide everything. All fleets engage at maximum. This is humanity's stand. Burn them or die trying. The void blazed as the largest clash in history reached its peak and far away. On Earth, billions watched the broadcast, praying that their defenders would hold. Because if they fell, there would be no tomorrow. For hours, the battle raged. Hundreds of thousands of ships clashed in the void. Firestorms lit the darkness. But then silence fell, because from the alien rear lines the true monsters arrived. The planet dash killers. They dwarfed every ship in sight, loading cities of death, each one the size of a small moon. Their hulls pulsed. With green fire, their weapons glowing with energy stolen from the stars. Themselves and everyone watching, from admirals on the front lines to children on Earth, knew the truth. If those ships reached firing range of a planet, no world would survive. On Earth, the battle streamed live. Billions crowded around screens, clutching one another, watching their defenders stand against annihilation. In New Berlin, a mother held her daughter as the girl whispered, "Will they save us?" In Cairo, workers stopped in the streets, eyes fixed on the sky as the broadcasts projected massive holograms of the battle. On Mars, soldiers in training camps clenched their fists, vowing to join the fight as soon as the Armada called. Every human heartbeat as one. Every soul waited on the edge of despair. The first planet killer fired. A green beam of unimaginable power lanced across the void. Entire cruisers disintegrated in its path. Fighters evaporated like sparks in a storm. The blast did not stop until it tore through a carrier group, splitting ships apart like toys. Over 100,000 human lives vanished in seconds. On the Resolute, Admiral Holt's jaw tightened. His voice was low, but every captain heard. They mean to erase us, but we will not break. All ships concentrate fire. Bring them down." The Armada surged. Battleships poured railgun fire at the planet killers. Cruisers launched missiles in endless waves. Fighters swarmed like angry bees, diving into weak points, planting charges along the glowing hulls. For the first time, cracks appeared. Alien armor shattered under relentless human fury. A cheer rose across the fleet. But it died quickly, because the second planet killer fired. Another beam swept across the human line. Hundreds more ships gone. Thousands dead. The Armada bled, but still it fought. On the Orion, Captain Reyes stared at the tactical map, saw what Holt could not. 8 opening. "Admiral," he transmitted, "if we break their escort line here, we can punch straight through to the lead planet killer." Holt hesitated. It was suicide. But Reyes' voice burned with conviction. "We have no choice. If they reach Earth, we all die anyway. Silence. Then Holt gave the order. Orion Group strike. The fleet will cover you. Reyes turned to his crew. You heard him? This is for New Avalon. This is for humanity. The Orion and its squadron of cruisers surged forward, diving into alien fire. On Earth, the broadcast zoomed in. Billions watched as tiny human ships hurled themselves at a giant that could kill worlds. Children cried. Soldiers shouted encouragement. Whole cities whispered prayers. For one moment, all of humanity was united watching the Orion charge into the fire. Alien escorts swarmed the Orion. Lasers tore across its hull. Fire spread, crew screamed. But still, Reyes pressed on. Forward cannons fire, he roared. Railgun slugs slammed into an escort frigate. It shattered, exploding in flame. The squadron broke through, and there it was, the planet killers. Heart, a glowing reactor pulsing with green fire, Reyes whispered. Now. The Orion launched its entire missile payload. Hundreds of warheads streaked across the void, slamming into the alien giant's reactor core. For a second, nothing. Then the planet killer trembled. Its hull cracked. Its lights flickered. A thunderous explosion, the monster tore itself apart. Across the fleet, cheers erupted. On Earth, billions screamed in joy. The first planet killer had fallen, for the first time since New Avalon. Humanity felt not just defiance, but hope. But hope is fragile. The Orion did not survive when the planet killer exploded. Shockwaves ripped through the human squadron. Reyes' ship was caught in the blast. The last transmission showed Reyes standing tall on the bridge. Fire behind him as he gave the order. Keep fighting. Humanity is not prey. Then the screen went black. The Orion was gone. The alien fleet did not falter at the loss. Instead, their remaining planet killers roared to life. 2 beams fired at once. Entire human formations vanished. Tens of thousands dead in a heartbeat. Admiral Holt gripped the command rail so hard his knuckles turned white. His voice shook with rage. They want to erase us, and we will burn them all. The battle reached its breaking point. 1 planet killer destroyed, 3 still advancing. The armada crippled, but unyielding. On Earth, billions watched, knowing. Their fate hung in the balance, and as the alien fleet prepared to fire again, Admiral Holt gave the command that would decide the future of humanity. All ships charge. Every gun, every missile, every fighter. This is humanity's last stand. The void lit with fire as the largest counterattack in history began. And far beyond the battle, in the dark reaches of space, more alien fleets stirred. The void was burning. Hundreds of thousands of ships already gone. A wreckage of battleships floated in silence. Whole squadrons of fighters spun as lifeless debris, and still the alien fleet pressed forward. 3 planet killers loomed, their reactors glowing like green suns, each one ready to fire again. On Earth, billions watched the live feed. Families huddled together, whispering prayers. Children cried at the glowing beams on the screen. Tire. Cities stood still, waiting for the next shot, and aboard the Resolute. Admiral Holt gave the order no one wanted to hear. All fleets charge. This is our last stand. Engines roared to life. Humanity's armada surged like a tidal wave of steel. Battleships broke formation, their railguns thundering with relentless fire. Cruisers launched missile swarms that painted the stars with streaks of light. Fighters filled the void, darting between alien cannons, carrying explosives strapped to their wings. The aliens fired back. Green lances cut through the human wave, vaporizing ships in seconds. But still humanity pushed forward. Each ship knowing the truth, there was no retreat. On every channel, one phrase echoed, "We are not prey." On Earth, entire cities gathered to watch the battle projected in the skies. In Rio, massive holoscreens showed the armada charging the planet killers. Crowds cheered when an alien cruiser exploded. They screamed in terror when a human carrier was cut in half. In Beijing, an old veteran whispered to a group of children, "They are fighting for you. Every ship out there is your shield." In Nairobi, a priest raised his hands and cried, "If humanity falls tonight, then let us fall." Fighting. The whole species was no longer divided by worlds or nations. Humanity was one. Humanity was at war. On the bridge of the Resolute, Admiral Holt stood unshaken as enemy fire ripped through the fleet. His crew shouted reports, alarms blared, but his voice cut through it all. "Bring me firing solutions. If we cannot stop them, then we will die taking them with us." The Resolute's main batteries roared, striking one of the planet killers. Shields rippled, armor cracked, but the giant endured. Holt's jaw tightened. Closer. We need to get closer. The Armada paid in blood. Entire destroyer wings dove straight into alien cannons, sacrificing themselves to open holes in the lines. Carriers launched every last fighter, even untested prototypes, into the storm. One battleship, the Horizon's Edge, overloaded its reactor, plunging into an alien dreadnought before exploding in a blast so massive it took 3 more enemies. With it, each sacrifice bought seconds. Each second kept Earth alive. Then at last a crack appeared. Missile salvos pounded one of the planet killers. Fighters swarmed its flanks. Its battleships focused every gun they had. Its shields collapsed, its hull split, with a final volley. The monster exploded in a chain reaction, fire tearing across its structure until it was nothing but shards of burning wreckage. Humanity roared in triumph. 1 planet killer down. 2 remained. But triumph was short. Dash lived in New York. Civilians screamed as the broadcast showed another green beam slicing across the Armada, wiping out an entire formation. On Mars, families gathered in bunkers, unsure if the fleet above would hold. Everywhere, one thought grew louder. What if they fail? What if Earth is next? But no one turned away. Even in fear, humanity refused to look down. They watched. They bore witness. Across the fleet, soldiers repeated Captain Reyes' final words from Part 5. "Keep fighting. Humanity is not prey." Pilots painted his name on their ships. Marines whispered it before boarding actions. Commanders repeated it on every comm channel. Reyes was gone. But his spirit flew with the Armada. Admiral Holt clenched the command rail. 2 planet killers left, his fleet in ruins. Casualty reports endless. He turned to his officers. His eyes burned. "We have one chance. Every ship we have left, every weapon, every life. We push now. We take them, or Earth burns." The Armada charged again. Fighters swarmed in suicidal waves. Cruisers rammed alien escorts head-on. Battleships fired until their guns overheated and split. The void became a storm of fire, each explosion lighting the darkness like lightning across a battlefield. 1 of the remaining planet killers staggered under the fury. Its hull broke apart, green energy leaking like blood. A single destroyer squadron dove into the wound, detonating their reactors inside. The monster screamed if a machine could scream before, tearing itself apart. The second planet killer was gone, but the destroyers were gone with it. Every ship lost. Only 1 planet killer remained. But the Armada was nearly broken, half the fleet gone, millions dead. The last planet killer turned, charging its cannon. A beam of green fire began to build, aimed not at the fleet, but at Earth itself. Billions on the planet stared at the sky. Admiral Holt whispered the words no one wanted to hear. "We are out of time." Cannon flared. The void lit up and then the screen cut to static. The last planet killer turned. Its colossal weapon glowed, gathering energy like a star being born. The light swelled across its hull, a sickly green that blotted out the stars. And its target was not the Armada, was Earth. On every world, on every screen, billions saw it. In one voice whispered across a galaxy, "Oh God, it's aimed at us." On Earth, cities froze. In London, crowds gathered along the Thames, staring upward as the sky itself seemed to glow. In New Delhi, families huddled in basements, holding one another tightly. In New York, priests, imams, and monks led mass prayers in the streets. Every human being felt the same truth. This was the end, and still, no one looked away. If Earth was to die, humanity would watch it together. The planet killer fired. A beam of green fire erupted from its core, wider than a continent, brighter than the sun. It slashed through the void, ripping past the shattered armada. It struck Earth's outer defense grid. Shields flared, satellites exploded. Orbital stations were torn apart like paper. The beam pierced through. It struck the Pacific Ocean. In seconds, the sea boiled. A column of steam rose miles into the sky. Shockwaves tore across the planet, tsunamis slamming into coasts. Entire island nations vanished. Billions screamed as the Earth itself shook. On the resolute, Admiral Holt staggered as the shockwave data streamed in. His voice cracked with fury. "They are firing on our home. Every ship left now. Throw everything we have at that monster." The remnants of the armada obeyed. Crippled cruisers, reignited failing engines, dragging themselves forward. Fighters, out of ammunition, rammed alien hulls. The battleships fired their last cannons. Barrels glowing white-hot, the fleet bled itself dry to stop the weapon. Amid the chaos, a handful of captains made the ultimate choice. The carrier Valiant Dawn, too damaged. To retreat, plunged directly toward the planet killer. Its commander broadcast his final words across the fleet. For New Avalon, for Earth, for humanity. The Valiant Dawn rammed the alien giant, detonating its reactor. The explosion ripped a hole in the monster's armor. For the first time, the last planet killer bled on Earth itself. Defense systems activated. Orbital cannons, railgun arrays, and missile silos unleashed fire into the sky. For decades, they had been built as deterrents. Now they became Earth's teeth. Thousands of missiles streaked upward, guided by desperate human hands. They slammed into the wounded planet killer, rocking it with explosions. The giant reeled. Its weapon flickered. Billions watching erupted in hope. Humanity had struck back, but the alien ship was not finished. Its cannon flared again, brighter than before. It gathered energy for a second shot, one that would not miss. Admiral Holt's eyes narrowed. If it fires again, Earth is gone. Knew there was only one option left. The Resolute was heavily damaged, its hull cracked, systems failing. But its reactor was still alive. Holt turned to his crew. "We're going in." Shock rippled across the bridge. Officers protested. Engineers shouted. But Holt raised his voice over the chaos. "If we fall, Earth falls with us. The Resolute will be the spear." The crew, pale but steady, saluted. The flagship of humanity surged forward, engines burning like dying suns. The Resolute broke through alien fire, shields collapsing, armor peeling away. Fighters and cruisers cleared a path, sacrificing themselves, so the flagship could pass. On Earth, billions watched as the ship there shipped of into the jaws of the planet killer. Admiral Holt stood on the bridge, silent as alarms screamed around him. His hands clenched the command rail. His eyes never wavered from the enemy. Humanity is not prey. He triggered the overload. The Resolute detonated in a blinding explosion, brighter than a star. The blast tore through the planet killer's hull, ripping it apart from within. For a moment, silence. Then the monster fractured. Its cannon imploded. Its reactor flared and the last planet killer exploded, its fragments scattering across space. The battle was over. The beam had scarred Earth. Millions were dead. Cities drowned. Nations shattered. But Earth still turned. Earth still breathed. Humanity still lived. Across the planet, survivors cheered through tears. In the void, the broken remnants of the Armada screamed with triumph. They had done it. Against impossible odds, humanity had survived the fire. But as the cheers echoed, a final transmission broke across the fleet. Not from Earth, not from a human ship. From deep space, the voice was alien, cold and resonant. "You have defied us. You have slain our hunters. You have wounded our kings. Now you will face the Empire." New signals appeared on the scanners. Not hundreds of ships, not thousands, tens of thousands. An entire armada dwarfing even humanity's fleet. The war was not over. It had only just begun. For one shining hour, humanity thought it had survived. The last planet killer was gone. Earth, though wounded and scarred, still lived. In every city, cheers rang out, tears of joy streamed, and families embraced. Children pointed at the stars and whispered, "We are safe." But then the scanners lit up. Tens of thousands of new signals entered the system. The alien empire had arrived, and their fleet made the previous battle look like a skirmish. Billions who had just celebrated fell into silence. Humanity realized the truth. This had never been a war of raids. It had always been the beginning of extinction. Leaders across Earth united in one final message, broadcast across every channel, every ship, every colony. We are humanity. We are one. This is our home. We will not fall. Factories turned into weapons plants overnight. Civilians volunteered as medics, engineers, and even pilots. Old ships were dragged from museums and refitted for war. Humanity would not flee. Humanity would fight. The alien fleet entered orbit, vast and merciless. City-sized dreadnoughts loomed over Earth, their cannons glowing with unholy light. Swarms of escorts blotted out the stars. Their leaders spoke across every channel in a voice that made blood run cold. "You are stubborn prey, but prey nonetheless. Today, humanity ends." And then the bombardment began. The Empire unleashed hell. Beams lanced toward Earth's atmosphere, burning entire swaths of sky. Orbital defenses shattered. Ground quaked as alien weapons rained. Fire. Yet humanity did not cower. Railguns fired back from hidden bunkers. Suborbital fighters launched from underground hangars. Fleets of drones swarmed upward like metallic locusts, detonating themselves against alien hulls. The battle for Earth had begun. From the wreckage of previous battles, humanity gathered what was left, less than 1/3 of the original armada. Scarred, broken ships that should have been in dry dock now surged forward. Guns blazing at their head, a new flagship rose, the Iron Resolve. Hastily rebuilt from fragments of 3 destroyed carriers, its commander, Admiral Sato, spoke across all channels. "Admiral Holt showed us the way. Reyes gave us his fire. Now humanity gives its answer. We will not be erased." The armada charged into the heart of the alien fleet. The void became fire. Alien dreadnoughts traded blows with human battleships, each volley brighter than a sun. Cruisers weaved through the chaos, launching swarms of missiles. Fighters clashed. In dogfights so dense they looked like storms of sparks. Human ships fell by the hundreds. Alien ships by the thousands. Every second was bought with blood. On the surface, Earth itself became a weapon. Cities powered massive cannons hidden beneath skyscrapers. Highways uncoiled into missile launch pads. Submarines in the deepest oceans launched torpedoes that streaked into orbit. For the first time in history, all of Earth fought as one. The aliens pressed hard, overwhelming the armada, pushing Earth's defenses to the breaking point. Then humanity revealed its last secret, from the far side of the moon. A weapon decades in the making fired a colossal railgun, the size of a mountain. Hidden beneath lunar rock, it launched a tungsten spear, the length of a skyscraper. The projectile tore through an alien dreadnought, splitting it in half. The weapon fired again. Another dreadnought fell. Hope surged. Humanity had teeth left, but the Empire adapted quickly. Their armada encircled the moon, preparing to annihilate. The weapon, Admiral Sato, gave the order. 1/3 of the armada would break off to defend it, knowing they would not return. Those ships charged, screaming battle cries, ramming enemy hulls, detonating reactors and suicidal strikes. They bought enough time for the lunar railgun to fire one last time, destroying the Empire's flagship. The alien fleet wavered, seizing the moment, every remaining human ship surged forward. Railguns thundered, streaked. Fighters rammed alien carriers in kamikaze waves. On Earth, billions shouted, one phrase in unison, carried across every channel, every frequency. "We are not prey." The cry itself became a weapon, echoing through the chaos.
Aliens
Humanity fought with fury no empire could match. At last, the alien fleet broke. Leaderless, their formations crumbled. Dreadnoughts detonated in chain reactions. Escorts scattered, hunted down by human fighters. The void that had been filled with fire became littered with alien wreckage. Against all odds, humanity had won. But victory came at a cost beyond measure. Of 700,000 warships, fewer than 50,000 remained. Entire continents on Earth lay in ruins. Tens of millions dead. Admiral Sato stood on the bridge of the Iron Resolve, staring at the burning stars. His voice was quiet, heavy with grief and pride. Humanity is wounded, but humanity stands. War was over, but the galaxy was changed forever. The alien empire had been broken, its fleets destroyed, its arrogance shattered, and word spread across the stars. Humanity was not prey. Humanity was fire. For the first time, other species hiding. In fear whispered with hope. Perhaps the galaxy could resist. Perhaps they, too, could rise. Humanity had lit the torch. On Earth, children looked up at the scarred sky. Some pointed at the wreckage still burning above. One girl whispered to her brother, "They tried to erase us." Her brother, eyes full of fire, replied, and we answered. The stars burned brighter than ever. The story of humanity had only just begun.